Hey guys, Michael here from michaelsherlock.com. I want to talk to you today about the iPad 2 ordering issues that we've seen with the launch that happened just last weekend. Now, before I get started, I just want to apologize for not making a video in a while. I've been completely swamped with work. Again, that's not your problem, that's mine, but I digress, and I just thought you'd like to have a little explanation there. So, the iPad 2 ordering situation. Again, the launch for, what was it, March 11th, I believe, was, or was it the 10th? It was the, whatever day. I'm just so busy and I haven't slept in 2 days, I do not know what date it exactly was. But whatever the actual launch date was, if we remember that you could order 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and orders are starting to ship out now. And conversely, you could go into a store starting at 5 p.m. to order one. Now, we had people, one story that I found quite interesting at the Fifth Avenue store, I believe it was a kid, waited in line for starting on that Wednesday for a Friday launch, and he ended up selling his first spot in line for about $900. So that was a pretty cool thing. But anyway, so 5 p.m. you could go in and buy your unit. Now there were several places you could go. Again, Apple stores obviously, but they also started having them at Best Buy, Verizon Wireless stores, AT&T stores, apparently Target, Walmart as well. So there were a lot of places where you could get it. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of iPads to go around, so it didn't really matter that it was spread out that far. So let me tell you first what I tried to do. Well, to begin, I wasn't even set on buying an iPad 2 at all. I really kind of got into the idea of upgrading my iPad the day before, so last Thursday, at the earliest. I really did not have any expectations of getting it. But by about 3 p.m. On launch day, I decided, you know what, I'm going to try and get a unit. So a couple friends and I, they decided they would go with me because I didn't want to just stand by myself. My friends are pretty good about that. And so we go decide, let's go to Best Buy because I know the Apple store is probably going to be jammed and people have been there for hours. I assume they had been there for hours, and I later learned there was a colossal line, although I don't know if they all ended up getting units or not. So I go to Best Buy, and the line is in front of me, the line is about 4 times longer than it was at the same Best Buy for the iPad original launch, because if you recall, that's where I got my original iPad from, was this same Best Buy. So I thought, okay, this is weird, but I'm sure it'll be fine. And the lines start to fill up behind me as well. So I was essentially, at the time we got our notices, I was in the middle, people in front, people behind. So you can sort of get a grasp of that. There were probably a couple, maybe like 200 people, maybe a little bit more than that, waiting in this Best Buy. So they go through and they start giving people out, starting at the top, sorry about that, they start giving them, their little tickets. Essentially a reservation for the iPad when they started selling them at 5 o'clock. So they got about halfway, probably a little bit less than halfway in front of me, and they ran out. So to the 75% of people, Best Buy told to go away. The thing that annoys me is, perhaps they don't know the exact numbers of their stuff, especially in advance, but you knew when you started how many slips you had, so you didn't have to take 40 minutes to pass out slips and then tell us to leave. You knew exactly about how many you had, so you should have sent most people away to begin, and perhaps giving them another opportunity to pick something up. So I was pretty outraged about that. A lot of people had issues with Best Buy. In fact, some stores apparently started giving out reservation slips earlier than that, and it was just a pretty big disaster. So Best Buy, pretty pissed. But the biggest piss-off to me is when I decided to hit up Verizon Wireless. I called before, as I was leaving Best Buy. This is still probably 20 minutes before 5, and they said, we haven't opened the doors yet, we don't know how many units we have, but there's not a huge line. So I get to Verizon, I end up being the 23rd person in line, so I wait, I get to the counter, I'm like, okay, 16 gigabyte black, that's what I want. He's like, okay, look, we have one in the system, this is perfect. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to finally get this iPad 2. He looks in the back, they don't have it. The only thing they have is, well, they have nothing. However, the guy next to me is actually about to buy a 64 gigabyte model. Except when they open it, he's like, wait, that's white? I despise white. I can't tolerate the white one. No. And he left. So they tried to offer it to me, a full-priced $829 plus tax thing that had just been opened because I saw it, and I saw the customer touch it and look at it, and I saw the person look at it and touch it as well. And I was like, first of all, I don't want to drop almost $900 for an iPad in my opinion, that's just kind of ridiculous. And conversely, even if I was going to spend that much money, there's no way I'm going to do it if it's an open unit. That's just crazy. Not only do I like to not have it touched by other people, but I like to unbox it for you guys because I know you quite enjoy that. So I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. So what are my options? The guy specifically says, and don't even flame me about this because this is 100% what the rep said, the Verizon Wireless rep. I was looking right at him. I looked into his eyes when he was telling me this. He said, order now and it'll be, you'll get it in 2 days. So this is a Friday. So I wasn't expecting weekend delivery. I was expecting Tuesday. Monday, Tuesday. That's what I was expecting, right? So I buy it and they immediately charge my debit card. I checked that night and it was the 600 and change that it cost was subtracted from my account. So I was charged that first day. Now, I don't have any way of tracking it. The receipt doesn't give you any information about that. I didn't receive any emails from them, even though they asked for my email address and my contact information, so I didn't get any of that. So I don't have any way to track it. Now it's Monday, and I'm like, what's up? I should have been contacted. I email that same rep, and you know what he tells me? Unfortunately, sir, after our transaction, I learned that it will take, or could take, 2 to 3 weeks for your iPad unit to ship. Now, to me, this seems like a bait and switch, if you will. Essentially, they baited me in with this iPad. They told me it would be there in 2 days, and then, so they would get my money and they could take it and get it to the company. And then they switch it up on me after and say, you know what, this is going to take 2 or 3 weeks. Now, I understand supply constraints, but I just feel gypped in that regard because they knew. It seems to me that they did know it was going to take 2 to 3 weeks and that they didn't tell me at that time because they wanted to get my money. And conversely, it seems like he would have never contacted me. He would have never told me that it was going to take 2 to 3 weeks, except for the fact that I reached out to him. So now it's Wednesday. It's been 5 days. I don't have an iPad. I'm pretty pissed off about this. Of course, I'm probably just going to stick with this now because if I want to buy one from the Apple Store online, it's 4 to 5 weeks at this point. That's a ridiculously long time. And like I said, I've been just so busy. There's no way in hell I'll be able to go and wait in an Apple Store line for 2 hours, even if I was guaranteed to get one. I can't. I don't have the time right now to wait. So that's just my 2 cents on the iPad ordering. Clearly, and I just want to give a little cameo here to Japan. I'm really concerned about that region that was devastated by that earthquake and subsequent tsunami and now nuclear disaster or potential nuclear disaster. And I know that some of the components that Apple uses in their iPads and iPhones comes from Japan, so that could be a problem and further limit the supply. But the fact of the matter remains, Apple is going to be grilled this time. They've gotten away with it in the past, but I think it's getting to a crazy part. They drop such hype for these products, and they know they're not going to have enough units to even supply a sliver of the percentage of people who actually want to purchase them. Now, of course, you want to have a high demand for your product, but if you piss so many people off with A, not having enough units, B, being quite secretive about when units are coming in, about how many unit stores are going to receive, or even supplying Best Buy and Verizon Wireless with fewer units than they expected and then not replenishing their supply chains without even giving them a heads up, that's completely ridiculous. And again, I do understand that this is a supply and demand issue and you have such high demand, you can't give any concrete information. But at this point, it's becoming unacceptable. When every iPhone launch has had this problem, when both iPad launches have had this problem essentially, it's not good. It is not a good way to run a business, to know that you're only going to be able to offer your new product to 10% or less of your customer base. It's just ridiculous. And another thing I want to say, somebody in that Verizon Wireless store was actually, that I was in, I saw, they were able to purchase 6 iPads. And I know that in the Apple Store they limit you to 2. Maybe limit customers to 1 and make sure that all your partners have to abide by that rule. Because I've seen the prices on eBay, those things are $1,000 plus right now. Obviously, I'm not going to pay that. Somebody clearly does. But it comes down to the fact that I don't have an iPad and people were able to buy 6 simply because they came 30 minutes before me. Which, by the way, was due to Best Buy, where a place where I was also trying to buy your iPad, not having supply and not even having the decency to tell me that clearly there was no way I was going to be able to get an iPad 2 from them. So that's just my little rant. I do apologize for that. Again, I'm not going anywhere. I've just been extremely busy with work, or rather school work. and I have not been able to make a video. But again, like I just said, I'm not going anywhere. The revived one, Michael Sherlock, is here to stay for the long haul and to entertain you and to provide you with some solid technology opinions. To reiterate, I am Michael Sherlock from michaelsherlock.com. Thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on this ridiculous iPad 2 launch? I'd love to hear your feedback in the comment section below, and have a nice day, guys.